what has no reason to exist in 2021 and yet it does. I've definitely had my number spoofed before. I got a call from an unknown number and the person on the other side said I called them. I said I hadn't, no record in my phone, so not even a butt dial. Then like a week later I get a phone call from a seemingly legit number. Called them back saying I got a call from this number. Guy on the other side said he didn't call me. I told him it's no big deal, this shouldn't be happening at all. Sadly, the middleman is very often the performers themselves. The reason why Ticketmaster continues to dominate, in spite of being universally hated, is because they're universally hated. Option A, charge $100 per ticket. Your fans hate you. Option B, charge $75 per ticket with a $30 convenience fee, $25 of which is passed on to the performers. Your fans hate Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster happily soaks up all their hatred for a few extra dollars. Consumers are easily manipulated psychologically, and if you can jack up your ticket prices while making it appear to be someone else, almost everyone will be fooled and you get to stay in good graces with your fans. I was about to say this. I just made the final payment on my car. For 5 years they have automatically withdrawn the payment, but for the final payment I either had to call or go into the bank. Yesterday I called and the lady said there is a $10 charge for doing it over the phone. So I went into the bank today, and all I did was stand there while the teller clicked a few buttons and it took the money from my checking to pay off the loan. Like, why did any of that need to happen? Just automatically withdraw the money like before. What makes it worse is the last payment was less than my normal payment. Or the fact that I have to go to my local gym to cancel the membership. Best of all, it's a chain, like a full-on big brand chain, and when they closed the branch near my old place, they just automatically transferred me to the next closest branch. But I can't go to one close to my current place because I have to go to my home branch. Funny how the transfer is super easy and done electronically, but they can't cancel my membership at any branch. Edit, it's fit for less in Canada. My apartment complex does that for paying online. It's a 3% fee. I refuse to pay that. So every month I walk my rent check to them directly, and every month they say please pay online next month, and I always say back that I will not pay extra so that they don't have to go to the bank. And then I get emails saying next month please pay online and set up an account, and I ignore that. If you want me to do it so badly, don't charge me extra. Edit, a lot of people are asking. This fee is for e-checks and linking my checking account as well as credit card. Accutane, it's very tough on your body and can cause some horrible side effects. My daughter had bad acne. She went on Accutane for 4 months. We weighed up the pros and cons and we had a really good discussion about it. She decided to take it. It worked for her and it works for the majority of people who take it, but like I said, it does come with a whole list of side effects. Her side effects went away after taking her course of Accutane, but some people it can affect them for long periods and I guess life. One side effect is depression, but her mindset was acne was causing her depression and pain. Couldn't brush her hair easily as the acne was in her scalp as well, and scarring. She will tell everyone that it's not a pleasant drug, but for her it was worth it. Just had this debate 2 weeks ago. My wife is the breadwinner, to a laughable amount, but she's on maternity leave, and she laughed her ass off. My boss, supervisor, called me out on being late one day. I'm usually the first one to open the trailer, turn the Keurig on, etc. Looked him dead in the eye and said it's 6:57. The PSA is supposed to be done while signed in. This is work, and I'm 3 minutes early. He didn't like that, but long story short, I ended up billing my 2 hours off for my vaccine that I wasn't planning on charging the company for. Got multiple texts from higher ups the next day, and boss, supervisor bought me breakfast. I saw a TED Talk once about someone trying to build an online resource to shop around your medical procedures and explain this problem. Well, more like brought awareness to it. They had said hospitals especially would refuse to answer the cost of any procedure and had to build their database from crowdsourcing. which few people are willing to share their medical procedures as it is. Then they found that many places charged different prices for the same procedures for different people. Medical anything shouldn't be this complicated for patients. The only real benefit to them that I can see is that sometimes people with certain conditions have no idea that a new medication could possibly treat something differently than they previously had thought possible, and it's worth informing people about it. Like a new type of birth control, or a new type of diabetes medication, sometimes it's worth letting people know, hey, we have this new thing that doesn't have the same issues as the old thing you thought you'd be taking forever. Ask your doctor if it'll work in your circumstance. Overall though, I do think they do more harm than good. I work in a cold storage facility for meat. I'm also dating someone who inspects imported produce. Between the two of us, it is shocking how much inefficiency and waste we see. Not enough controls in place to prevent simple things like setting the refrigeration unit at the right temperature so a whole shipment doesn't go bad. Just-in-time production when applied to food is also a bit of a nightmare because certain companies will make up reasons to reject shipments when it turns out they don't need them and don't want to take a chance paying for food they don't think they'll be able to sell through. The company I work for tries to donate all the returns to food pantries, and almost all of it is, but it is a very inefficient system for the 21st century. Anyway, with how much waste there is, I'm sure we have enough food to feed the planet. It is just a matter of governments, private businesses, and then goes finding a way to make it happen. T+1 is coming, probably next year or the year after. The industry is currently having meetings about it. There's so much that goes into it, and we actually do trade paper stocks still. It's just that you don't see them. Any stock that isn't DTC eligible is sent physically between brokerage firms. It's all back office though, so you don't even know. Of course, I'm not talking about Apple, but a lot of low price and foreign stocks have to be settled physically. It's a real pain. It's a very popular opinion. The problem is you have Alarm Clock 2021 Pro Edition free, which charges a subscription. It's predatory and more or less is hinging on the fact people make the mistake of buying it. On the other side, a lot of software is used for more professional cases. It needs to constantly be updated and it's hard to justify doing the update when it's not making money. With subscriptions, the revenue stream is insanely obvious, and avoids the whole issue of I only have Office 2003 this want open. Californian checking in, we've got you bro. My kid's school district 2 years ago went 100% free breakfast and lunch. For COVID lockdown, they provided drive-up pickup of lunch packs for every kid, no questions asked. How many kids? 4? Okay. Curbox take care. They didn't ask if I needed assistance. They didn't ask for proof of income. My kids are in the district. They get food, 0 questions. I did say we are blessed that we don't need this. I don't want to take it from a family that does need it. The person said we have meals allocated for every kid, whether you pick it up or not. Overage goes to the food bank. Yeah, all can hate on California all you damned well want. My kids will never know the mental and physical discomfort of going without at lunch. I did. Biased journalism. Journalism used to be about discovering the truth and reporting it. Not anymore. Instead, we have news agencies that provide a narrative and to hell with the facts. It's so bad that Fox News declares itself as an entertainment company and not an official news outlet, even though the word news is in their name. Edit, not just Fox News. I just use them as an example. All mainstream media is guilty of promoting a narrative. Journalists have never been unbiased. Newspapers in colonial America were notoriously partisan. The Edward R. Murrow Award for Journalistic Ethics is ironically created and named after a self-confessed shameless hack for the very reason that the public had lost faith in journalistic integrity, and William Randolph Hearst would gloat about how he could sway Congress because he was in charge of what the people believed. What I as an American am forced to do when watching outlets like Fox News and CNN is only believe what any of them admit through gritted teeth. Scientology. They literally broke into the IRS, stole documents and blackmailed its board to get recognized as a religion and run a blackmail scheme with recordings of their therapy sessions to coerce people into paying exorbitant sums of money to go clear and buy them real estate, practice excommunication and squelch dissenters, all while covering up uncountable sexual assaults and literal imprisonment. Plus they are worldwide, and since they store all their criminal assets as above-board real estate investments, they are dug in like a botfly. It's the single most successful subversion of the rule of law in the USA and the vile web of unthinkable abuse. We got Keith Reiner and whatever his dumb shit was called. Now the only strongman president I want to see is one that absolutely fucking nails that fucking antichrist David Miscavige. Free those fucking children and adults being blackmailed into masquerading as vehement supporters of their religious freedom. Those people are being imprisoned with impunity. Fuck, I mean, my country isn't even particularly capitalist, but I work 60+ hours a week in a job I had to study for years at university for and still barely have enough to pay for a one-bed house in a very average town, even splitting stuff with, and so I still have barely enough money to actually save or splash out every now and then, and I have no idea how things are ever going to get better. I don't even work for a private business, I work for the government. The idea that being normal is automatically good and being weird is automatically bad, like as long as someone isn't hurting anyone, they shouldn't be judged for doing what makes them happy. We're all just trying to be happy in this fucked up world, and it is real damage. I have so much trauma from being treated like shit for being weird, undiagnosed, and now it's almost impossible for me to have a job, relationships, etc. because I'm so terrified my normal person act won't be good enough. Not to mention that a lot, if not all, bigotry and prejudices based on those people are different from us, and that's bad. Just let people be. Is that guy's Naruto headband threatening you? Is that girl's shaved head holding you at knife point? Is that person affecting you in literally any way by whatever they're doing? No? Then shut the fuck up and let people live their goddamn lives, especially if you claim to care about freedom. Not letting people do harmless things that make them happy is the opposite of freedom, dipshit. This, so much. It's perfectly fine to be religious, spiritual, whatever you choose to worship in whatever manner that should take. The problem begins when it infiltrates how we write our laws and govern our people. Religion tends to take over politics. And that's wrong. I'm a straight white married male living in the US, and as such I benefit from, or rather, am not punished by, many laws here. For example, in many states, if I were a woman instead, I would not have the right to deal with my body on certain issues. We all know what I'm referring to here. No need to delve into it. The laws backing that are religiously driven. However, even beyond the law there is a societal expectation that certain behaviors are followed and maintained. Why don't you wear makeup so you can get a man? When are you gonna have kids? Why don't you smile more? You'll look prettier. All commonplace things that I know women deal with, and yet people feel entitled, nay compelled, to say as if it was their right. And those statements are often family or peer-driven. Your relatives, your work friends, your church group, they all think they have a right to dictate how much of a person you get to be. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and that's just addressing a single friction point in our society. Then you have the issues negatively affecting other communities, Black, Hispanic, Asian, etc. I know I'm going off on a bit of a tirade here, but my point is, many of our societal ills can be traced back to religious fanaticism. With the Black community, take a look at the Bible. You need go no further than Genesis 1:26, which states, "And God said, Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." Okay, that's cool. It means the earth was put on there for humankind's to use, and all of the living things on it may be used to flourish, right? Well, now we add in manifest destiny. Manifest destiny means that God empowered a nation to spread, flourish, and take whatever that nation finds as theirs. This is done not in the name of the nation, but because it is the will of God. This means that it is acceptable, necessary to enslave or eradicate indigenous populations. Politics born from religious fanaticism at its very core. Of course, this all was supposed to have happened hundreds of years ago. Ancient history. Except it's not. Because of all this history, you now have a society whose population is not yet truly equal. Racism is still very much prevalent, because that's how the society is set up to be. The society's people are still influenced by their own laws, customs, and practices. There are still individuals and groups who think that it's okay to try to make things the way that it used to be, and I'm sure you can come up with some catchy slogan that might fit on a red ball cap that says something similar. As a European, I find it fucking hilarious when American 14-year-olds online tell me that we need communism back. Like fuck no we don't. Almost everyone from a former communist country in Europe will have some horror story about their family and how they suffered at the hands of communism. I used to work with a girl from Eastern Europe who told me how back in the 60s her grandfather was beaten to death with hammers for daring to speak out against how they were being treated under communism. Literally beaten to death in the street in broad daylight with claw hammers because he said he didn't like the government. People online who've never lived through it or seen the effects of it are blissfully ignorant to the misery and suffering spread by the hands of communists. The fucking Catholic Church. The fact that so many people are still in denial of this organization being to some extent an organized crime ring, guilty of one of the most disgusting crimes like numerous child rapes, is truly beyond me. Regardless of their theological claims, the organization is a bloody disgrace and its very existence is an insult to everyone it has harmed and continues to harm today. I think about this a lot. When I was growing up, if someone in your immediate vicinity didn't know the answer to something, then you just never knew the answer. That was it. Or they lied about it and you just went for years believing something that they made up. Lol. Now we can find the answer to literally anything in a matter of seconds, but like half of the population refuses to do it and just chooses to be wrong instead. It's so fucking weird. The like button. The fact that strangers from around the world are able to psychologically reward strangers over a period of time and eventually turn them into entirely different people because of that reward system is ... horrifying. My generation got introduced to the drug that is the like button at the middle of our college years, and I've lost friends because they care more about what the likes drug them to do than when concerned friends ask if they're okay. It's an epidemic, and it does affect all of us, just to varying degrees. It makes me kind of ill thinking about children growing up with this system. I like that hit of dopamine from people liking what I have to say, but I would take all the like buttons in a hot second if I could. Anti-vax people. I work in pharma, in the last stage of the drug production process. I've seen the API powder dissolve into liquid, and I've watched those products get pumped into sterile vials. There are typically 1 or 2 0.22 micrometers filters in the liquid flow path between the compounding tank and the filling operation. It blows my mind that any person would think a microchip or whatever stupid shit they believe could make it through that process. I've earned a living making sure the things that are injected to people are safe. Fuck the lot of them. Merchant fees. When you use your card to pay for something at a store, for example PM gas stations charge 35 cents. Too much IMO, they make a tidy profit on a doing business with us tax. Others though I've paid between 50 cents to $1 to just use my card. I know point of sale systems work on charging a partial percent to 2% to use their service. I still don't see why I should have to pay more than what they are being charged themselves for the service. Most places that charge that much are not even selling items that would cost me that much if I was just directly charged their point of sale fee. It really is a pet peeve of mine. Paper documents of any kind. I work in a Lithuanian government institution. We've moved to electronic documents a few years ago and during COVID stopped accepting paper documents from outside as well. Everything became so much faster and easier. Digitally secure national ID and robust legal base regarding electronic signatures is a mandatory prerequisite, though. Funny how USA can't figure that out.